Hey everyone, Ariel Adams here with a blog to watch. Please subscribe to our videos on YouTube and like this video if you find it useful. Today we're going to review what I like to call is the epitome of the indie diver. So a lot of times, especially on the site, we talk about indie diver. And if you don't know what an indie diver is, it means independent diver. And or sometimes they're called forum divers. You'll hear that a lot. And what does that mean? Well, there are guys or small companies who say, you know what, I want to build a watch that I want. So they oftentimes choose a dive watch because dive watch is a successful category and it makes a great sport watch. And they will go and they will find people, oftentimes in Asia, to produce their watch for them. And they will go and basically market them to their colleagues and their friends and their fellow watch lovers on enthusiast sites, like Watch You Seek is a big one, where they have a nice, rich community of people. And, they sort of, say, let's take some pre-orders. Let me get your input on designs. And so they call it a forum diver because it's really kind of like for these guys, by these guys. And they sort of like, put enough money together. And what's great about these watches is that the value is often very high, meaning that they're not going to be a lot of money for what you get. In fact, you oftentimes get a lot for your money. Designs are usually pretty good. And the best part for me is that they're made by watch lovers. These aren't made by business guys. These are made by people that feel that they haven't quite found a watch out there that incorporates everything they want or in the way they want or the price they want. So they go and they make their own brand. So there's definitely a lot of passion in these designs. And if you are a watch guy, these are great to have because, again, you get a lot of great features and the price usually is not too high. So this is the Tempest. That's the brand Tempest. And the model is the Viking. And there's a few different versions of it, and I have two here just to sort of show off a few features. There's a couple differences between these two, and I'll get to that. But I like this overall. This is not the dive watch for everybody because it is rather large, but this is a lot of watch for the money. So, okay, let's talk about the Viking. So here I have, of course, the steel version, and here is the PVD black version. So a lot of people like a nice black watch, and I'll get to that in a minute. So, hold your horses there, PVD black watch. So, okay, so this is the steel version. Now, all of them are big watches. This is 45 millimeters wide. Is 45 millimeters wide huge? It can be, especially in this instance. And this is a good example of a big 45 millimeter wide watch. And part of that is because it's quite thick. The lugs are very, very wide. And so when you wear this thing, you get, that's a big watch. In fact, you know what I want to do? I'm going to put it side by side with something so you can get a little bit of a reference. You hold on one second. Okay, so I said that's 45 millimeters wide. This is 40 millimeters wide. So you can see the difference there between the Viking and, Submariner. So 45 millimeters wide, 40 millimeters wide there. And again, what I think is that for 40 millimeters, the Rolex really does hold its own. But there's so let's look at on the wrist, okay? So, I would say the classic dive watch, okay, at 40. And then you have here 45. Okay, so that's a big difference. So you go from something that you could easily wear on a daily basis to something that you could wear on a daily basis. It's actually a very good watch, but it's a lot more. It's a heavy watch. I like heavy watches, but for those of you that are sensitive to the weight of a watch, you're gonna think this is a ridiculously heavy watch. But part of that is because this watch is water resistant to 2,000 meters, and the guy that made this, that was part of his dream. He wanted a watch that was 2,000 meters water resistant, and there's other dive watch features on here as well. So let's take a look at this thing. So you have here again, I think the crystal is like 3 point something millimeters thick, and it's the sapphire crystal. You have a helium release valve there. Not that anyone needs those, but gotta have it. I love the large crown there, screw down. You have that rotating bezel, and that is a serious bezel. I mean, look at that. And what I also like about the bezel is completely filled with lume. So all the indicators are lume. The bezel has a sapphire crystal over it. Another wish list feature, which is great to have, and sapphire like ceramic is going to be very scratch resistant. That dial is ceramic, so that's cool. So you also have ceramic on there. There is a lot of lume on this thing. I will share in the review a lume shot, and you will see that there's a lot of lume, but there's so much lume that, you know, you're just out in the daylight for a couple of minutes and that thing will just bright, you know, just light up the night. Well, not that bright, but it's a good amount of lume. In addition to the black dial, there's a few other dials as well. There's an orange one and a blue one. Those are fine, but if you want sort of the most conservative, kind of versatile look, I would go with the black one. Now, as you saw on the PVD version, there's another difference in addition to the black coating, is the crystal. So this one has a flat sapphire crystal, and the other one has what they call the Super Dome crystal, which in its own way is pretty cool. It's a little bit extra money. It's like less than $100, but it's a little bit extra money, and it's a it's a rather domed crystal there. I don't know if it makes any difference with water resistance. It might help legibility in a couple ways. You know, if you look at it from angles, it creates this kind of neat look. I mean, it's actually a cool effect. If you look at the crystal, it's cool. It's a good sapphire crystal. The problem with this domed one is that I think there's anti-reflective coating only on the inside, so you're going to get a lot more glare, and you can tell between the two which one is going to be reflecting more light. But some people just love the look of this wild-looking version with this big crystal. I like it. I personally think I would go with a flat crystal just because it's going to be a little bit easier to manage on a daily basis. And again, you need to add more thickness to this watch. I mean, that definitely adds at least a couple millimeters there. So that's just something to think about, but it is an addition. And I like that the guy who made the watch was like, you know what, I can't decide. I want both. So he did. So it's an option. The bracelet, it comes with, it's actually, the case is nice. I think I have it, over here. It comes with a nice case here. Maybe I can zoom out a little bit here. Comes with a nice case, and inside you got this cleaning cloth, and then you got some a NATO strap. You got like a changing tool here. I like that it comes with a changing tool, which is nice. You don't see that too many times, which is good. And because you need two ends there, right? So this is that one of those like little hex bolts. To change the links here, it's got these things, so you basically have to have one on each end. And I'm really happy that they supplied a tool. That's so infrequently do you get a tool with a watch. And again, with the price of this watch, it's nice that they were able to throw all that stuff in there. So, you know, and again, that's what I'm talking about when I say this is kind of like buy a watch lover for other watch lovers, is because it comes with that logical stuff that you need that you wouldn't always get. Anyways, let's go back to the bracelet here. I like that perlage on there. Not at all necessary, but it was a nice little decorative element, which I appreciate. This watch also has a micro adjust deploying clasp here. So you push this pusher here, you pull this part out, and you get some wiggle room there. And again, this is adjustable in small increments. So if you want just a little bit or a lot, that's a great thing to have. What I tend to recommend is for people to size this a little on the smaller end, so it's snug. And then if they want to have like a little bit of extra room throughout the day, like it's a hot day or something like that, they can open up just a little bit to get that. And again, it's going to be a diver's extension. So when you want to dive, if you are going to dive, you could in this watch, you have all that extra space right there. So that's nice to have. The problem with these is it doesn't look amazing when it's open. So if you wanted to have it kind of open like that all the time, you kind of have that. So there's something to be said about sizing it perfectly, when it's all the way closed, and then you can open it up from there. So that's a consideration. The case itself has a lot of nice details on there. You have a combination of these brush surfaces, and you have some polish here on the sides. The side of the case is, I don't know why I just put it on, took it off. There's a lot of little detailing there, so you have a lot of different contrast finishing. You have kind of the satin finish inside of there. Little different elements that make it unique, and not just another sort of round-cased like macho dive watch, which is good. Let's finish this up because this is going a lot longer than I thought with the movement. So inside this watch is the newer Miyota 9015. So the 9015 is what I would call a higher grade Japanese automatic. People love these things. They're great. They're less expensive than ETA movements. Are they as good as, say, a 2824? I'm not sure exactly. I think it's sort of too soon to tell, but it has the time, it has the date, it hacks, it's an automatic, it runs at at 4 hertz, and so it basically has a lot of the same features, and I would say that it's a very comparable movement. So if you want sort of the next best thing to a Swiss automatic, I would say the Miyota 9015 is that, and the Tempest Viking has one. The price for these, quite reasonable. It's $785 in steel, and if you want to add that PVD coating, it goes up to $835, still quite reasonable. And you can see the full review of the Tempest Viking on a blog to watch soon. Thanks.